At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
With the taste of your lips, I'm on a ride. You're toxic, I'm slipping under.
Yes.
Hey, yes. That was
Wow. That was good.
On this episode, we have a listener letter about how to deal with toxic friend groups or comedy groups, a working situation. And I think you've come to the right place. 3 of the most toxically masculine dudes
Stop.
you've ever met. Oh, are you kidding? My God, I'm ready
All
to fuck.
3 of us were kicked off other podcasts for toxic behavior, and we landed here in the toxic zone.
In the dump. Welcome to the toxic zone.
Actually, welcome to Advice Fight. Oh my God. Welcome back to Advice Fight. My name is Ben Roy.
I'm Adam Caton Holland.
And I'm Andrew Orvidal.
And welcome to what I believe to be the world's first, and it doesn't matter if it is the first, the most foremost competitive advice podcast. We will give you advice. That's going to happen.
Yep.
But more importantly, one of us will be crowned a winner. And I know that producer Ron hates when we say it's more importantly, but this is still the United States of A. And we need to crown a winner.
The United States of A?
I think we should go.
It sounds like you're saying ass.
Yeah.
I think we should go with greater than or equal to. The desire to win is greater than or equal to the quality of the advice.
So you're raising the specter of neutrality.
100%, but also allowing for greater than.
Hate it.
Andrew, you don't like it? You're not into it?
No, it's all about winning.
Is it because the math is confusing you, Andrew?
No, it's not, Adam. Although I was a little confused once you started to make it into a story problem, but I held on.
If 2 trains are traveling in opposite directions, one's advice and one's the desire to win. One's going 1,000 miles an hour.
Both gives helpful advice, but also seeks to crown a winner.
But I think, Adam, the answer to your question is if they're both operating on CSX-run freight lines,
right,
they will both collide headfirst in some small farming community, causing a catastrophic
chemical reaction,
environmental disaster that will be covered up by both the companies and the media.
Yes, but in the short term, the bored children of that town will run to the crash site and raid suitcases, various snacks. It is a real bonanza for the bored kids of that community.
They will take the overalls off the conductor's body. These kids are scavengers.
Well, we have a listener letter today about toxic masculinity in a friend group / comedy group. And I think like
something I've never even heard of. What is this
something
behavior?
I've never even encountered in all my days.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of it. I think comedy has been pretty squeaky clean, and I think we've really got along well as comedians in the scene. But I think we boast about being qualified about a lot of things, but we may be qualified most to answer questions about keeping a comedy group together with 3 very different personalities, because we have done so for 4 decades.
Especially one toxic one.
No.
Yeah, it's been 4 decades, 40 years.
40 years together.
Yeah, it's been 40 years since Andrew was... It was 40 years ago. Andrew was 43. And you and I were 12.
We snuck into one of Andrew's shows. He was opening for Gallagher. You and I were 6 and 7. And we watched Andrew. And it inspired us to start comedy. Didn't care for Gallagher, but the stuff Andrew was doing.
But that opener.
About airplane foods, about my wife, take her please.
Fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you.
Ben and I fucking loved it.
Wouldn't it be funny if we did work on this into our 80s and you guys had to riff about me being old to the point where I was like 160? That'd be fun.
See, there's my little math buddy. He's back.
Oh, so you can follow along when you're engaged by the subject matter.
Yeah, the story problem is yours. You're listening, but if it's somebody else, no thanks. I'm tapped out. I get it.
Yeah, that tracks.
You're toxic, dude.
Toxic masculinity is such an interesting one because I'm not entirely sure there's a well-defined definition of exactly what that is. It's just when you see it, you're like, that's it. Like that is it.
I agree with you that you do know it when you see it. You're like, this is that. I think it's purposefully regressive behavior. It's kind of indulging in the negative traits that are associated, with heterosexual cisgender males. It's that sort of macho bullshit where it's just a lot of times it manifests itself as like people posturing as like being tough, either online or in person. They're just they want you to see that they're tough and they're overcompensating in a way that starts to be like bullying. It's like, I'm so tough, I can't help but bully the people around me. Things like that.
It is hard.
Quite a cuck response from you, Andrew. Thank you. Adam, what were you going to say?
I thought that was very good. I mean, I was going to cop out even further. I think it's whatever Joe Rogan and his sycophants are doing is toxic masculinity.
Shots fired.
And I think it's kind of like I think it dovetails
fuck about us
currently.
I know it's so dumb.
With a sort of like, and fuck anyone else who tells me I can't do this. Like it's gone on the offense where it's like, if you think that I'm doing this and it's problematic, then you're actually the problem. And it's sort of like this lashing out and not being able to hear any sort of self-criticism or just even understanding the notion of a patriarchy. You're like, nope, I reject that. That's woke bullshit. That to me is all toxic masculinity. Like,
yeah, exactly what you're saying. They're willfully ignorant.
And it's gotten worse and worse because as we're talking about it now, I really realize fucking Tim Allen and Home Improvement, that was like, hey, I'm a man.
That started it all.
It was kind of like a funny joke. Where it's like, hey, this is a safe space for men. For real.
Patient zero.
How dare you?
I feel like Tim Allen ran so Joe Rogan could fly. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
I think back then it was a henpecked joke that was safe on a sitcom. And now it's turned into a fucking aggressive aggro lifestyle that's put a monster in office.
Yeah, this is a really tough question because I think any dude that was born before 2000 was indoctrinated with a special type of masculinity or a belief in what being a man was. And then if you go, I mean, I know I'm the most probably toxically masculine curious, if that could be a phrase. I mean,
it's called Tox Max Curio.
Yeah, Tox Max Curio.
I'm Tox curious.
I mean, I love
Curio. That's it.
I love shit that is considered traditionally masculine things.
Horn rim glasses, wingback chairs, lacy curtains.
Well, these aren't lacy. They're. I
guess it's a tie dye. Maybe
no.
Okay.
It's a paisley kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
These are not mine, but I do, as we've talked about, have quite a few copies of Cormac McCarthy books. So for me, I think it is a rigidity in thought. Your inability to accept certain other ways of living or other ways of life because you believe it. By doing so, it'll degrade your masculinity.
I like that. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that all it comes down to is, at least from what I've seen, because like in the jujitsu and MMA community, like people that I've met and known, there are a lot of people that when you sit down one-on-one with them, will say like, no, I can understand that. When you talk about trans rights or things like the Me Too movement, these are people that when you sit down one-on-one and you have a conversation, totally accept that. But in the group, there's more fear to do so because they feel that it degrades or it denigrates
Their masculinity or their image. Yeah.
To me, that's when I'm like, well, then that's toxic because your opinion of masculinity is impeding your ability to be more sensitive and understanding to the world around you and a world that is changing and growing.
I couldn't agree more.
I think we didn't start the advice portion yet.
No.
Strike that from the record. Strike that from the record.
I think it's a profound insecurity that has been buried so deep in men that they now go on the offense against anyone who attacks that concept of that narrow concept of manhood.
But one thing I want to correct in this, and that I hope to in us talking, is you say they and their. Adam, I love you. You harbor toxically masculine things, that ways you view the world and just ways we operate. Even if it's a dude that chooses to go more to anger than to another emotion. And we all have that. We were all conditioned.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. But I think as a white man, you unconsciously harbor sort of toxic views that you were just because you were kind of given every advantage a little bit, societally speaking. And so you have this sort of like hiccup in your mindset, but all you can do is recognize that and be like, oh, was that a toxic trait? I'll work on it like that. And to me, that is why I say they, because if someone were to say, hey, Adam, what you just did is sort of toxic, I'd be like, oh shit, really? I'd think about it.
Yes.
And Adam did get that Cobra mode tattoo that I keep telling you need to get that covered up.
I did. I put bunny ears on it, and it's adorable.
Playboy bunny ears.
Yeah. The Playboy bunny.
Okay, well, it sounds like we are especially qualified to tackle this letter. Ben, do you want to actually read the letter before we take a little break?
I would love to. I've been working on my reading, as you both know, because I do not want to be toxically masculine.
Before you read the letter, can I point out how hot Pamela Anderson was on Home Improvement, or is that toxic?
No. That's true.
Appreciate
there's a difference.
Being attractive.
It can't be toxically masculine if it's the truth.
Okay. I would like to say I found her very super hot on Home Improvement.
Dude, BOTs. We're allowed to say that. Come on.
Okay, cool. No, stop. Read the letter.
No, what?
Just checking in. Hey, and if it is toxic of me, my B on that.
BOTs.
Just because we're being more aware and awake and woke doesn't mean we can't appraise them pitties. Okay,
well,
here we go.
I didn't really go all the way there.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's toxically masculine.
Just like Tim Allen ran so Rogan could fly, I hand Ben the baton and he sprints to the finish line. He finishes that race.
Straight into the retaining wall on the side of the track.
BOTs is so funny to me.
All right, well, let me read this. This person asked to remain anonymous, but this is somebody who has been listening for a bit and a supporter.
Hey, thanks.
And I don't want to give away any more than that. Anonymous advice here. How do I deal with the toxic friend/comedy group? I feel like I'm out of things I can think of to deal with our local comedy community. It has become overrun with toxic masculinity and really amateur shows, but trying to start shows in town is difficult because we are immediately in a hole because of their behavior. Any advice would be great. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, advice fight. Is what they wrote at the end. And that was nice. That was a nice,
Oh, I love that.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
They're already on board. They already get it.
The kids get what we're doing so quickly, and that's why I really have a lot of hope for the nation.
Why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break. Let's pay some bills. If you are listening to this as a Patreon subscriber, you're not going to have to deal with these advertisements. There's no bills to pay because you're paying the lights on. You're the solar energy on top of this haha cabin we've built here.
Wow.
Oh no, that got closed for toxic behavior. The haha cabin is shut down.
Yeah, no one work the haha cabin. Also, I found out this is good news for everyone. You can set up your Patreon feed through whatever podcast app you listen to. You don't have to go to Patreon to listen to the ad-free episodes. I just found that out. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with our advice.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Empower. Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
And we are back. Welcome back to Advice Fight.
What'd you guys do during the break?
I watched Ben play on his phone. What'd you do?
I had to help care for my grandmother in Syracuse for this break.
Wow.
She's very sick.
Yeah, no, I went across
Is
the
any
street
part of that true?
and helped a neighbor who was also very, very sick, and I helped them out.
No, I treated it like it was a summer break, Andrew. That was the fucking joke, and you fucking ruined it by asking if it was true. And you know, this is toxically stupid. You're toxically
no argument
dumb,
that I
becoming...
guilty as charged.
All right, and proceed.
This guy's stupidity has bled into our comedy creek. My stupidity runoff. We got a listener letter about dealing.
I love comedy runoff
with toxic people, toxic masculinity in their friends/comedy group, because it is kind of degrading the quality of their comedy group. And you can see this in any group. It could be a group of friends. It could be a group of coworkers. I think you can encounter this anywhere where multiple men are gathered. I think you can experience this phenomenon. So this is Advice Fight. We will be giving competitive advice, and there can only be one winner.
Yes.
I won last time, which means I have to go last, which is traditionally the worst spot of advice. And I get to choose who goes first, which is usually the best spot.
You know, there is a lot of strategy to Advice Fight. I think a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, position definitely goes into it.
But when you go first, it's a clear field. You get to choose. You don't have to worry about repeating anything anyone else said.
Agree with that. Agree with that.
That's the catbird seat. So since Adam and I are tied neck and neck for wins in Advice Fight, I will definitely not choose Adam to go first. Benjamin, you may go first. You may go first. So you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yeah, do your breathing exercises.
I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to go first.
Do your Lamaze. And
I have 3 minutes.
You got 3 minutes. And when you hear this sound, that means you've only got 1 minute left. So land the plane. All right, Benjamin, on your marks, get set. Advice.
I hate going first. Okay. To the anonymous listener, as I said in the opening, on my beliefs about toxic masculinity, I think just simply as being a guy born in the United States.
Yeah, nobody toxic outside of here. Great advice.
And I
ever been to Australia, dude? Holy shit.
You guys can't shut the fuck up. Okay. And I believe that as I'm going to assume you're a white male. I am just assuming this, making the assumption. I'm not saying anything about our anonymous listener, but I do know that this is a male. Just accepting the fact, first of all, to start, that you carry some of these traits. Just acknowledging that and acknowledging that you have this in you. What I would say is approaching this with the people that you feel are toxically masculine and trying to have a dialogue with them about it. Personally, I feel like that is always going to be the best bet if you can. If you see behavior or anything like that, trying to understand who they are is always going to be the best thing. And I know Adam's eyes are opening, and I know Andrew's are.
I was looking at a different tab. I was looking at Major League Baseball news because spring training started.
Anything good going on or what?
No.
Just shut up, dude. I think anytime you can understand that you harbor some of those tendencies and not look down your nose as if you are so much better, and try to have a dialogue with the person, like, you know, if there's a particular thing or a particular thing that was said or something that happened at a show, being like, hey man, like, why is that? Like, I understand, like, I get it. This seems new to you or this seems strange, but like having a conversation, I think something that is getting lost right now is that everybody wants to be right, but that's not the point. The point is to change minds. That's the biggest thing. And I think that can be done, at least at first, by trying to have a dialogue about it. Like, why the fuck do you actually believe that? Like, if it's something you feel is toxic as far as a joke or an idea, obviously there are certain behaviors beyond that I think you should just cut these people off if they're fucking being a creep and preying on women and in the scene, or new female comics and things like that, just being gross or creepy. I don't think you owe anybody that. But I think if it's as far as some of the like pandering to just being as offensive as possible. Shut the fuck up. I got a 10-second because you guys were introduced.
We were
interrupting me.
introduced.
I feel like if it's things like that, having a dialogue, being like, I understand this is new. It's kind of fucking weird. What is it? What is it that makes it?
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Wow. That was.
Andrew, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
About what just happened?
What a hog. Just so many things. Be understanding. Or
there isn't so many things. It was really only one
out.
message, and you're reaching right now. You're trying to reach for something because what I gave was actual sound, real advice.
Well, it was sound. That was for sure. Sounds coming out of your flappers.
Oh, shut up. You're going to say a bunch of dog shit that is just like, you're going to cut them off. And then Adam's going to be like, tell them to move or something. That's Adam.
Adam does like to tell people.
I was going to suggest that. I was going to say move to a new scene.
You still can. You still can.
I still can. I want to say,
you just
I would like to say that
good
Ben Roy's advice will never be accused of toxic masculinity, because there was nothing strong-willed or even a spine to be deduced in that. That was the most milquetoast, ambivalent. I just don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm afraid. I hope this doesn't get clipped and I get accused of something. It was fucking off. There was nothing in there.
Oh man!
Hey,
listen,
I saw
Adam.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk did a Roman salute. Let's talk to him about it. Maybe there's some understanding to be had or shared here.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't realize that's
right.
what that this writer was writing in. His comedy group, friend group, is the billionaires running this country. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about
billionaires who got Trump elected.
He's not
Rogan
talking about a bunch of comedians and his
all those other comics that go on Rogan.
He's not talking about a bunch of edgelord comedians in his scene saying insensitive shit. He's talking about the gutting of our financial and social welfare system. That's exactly what he was. You know, I missed that subtext in that, you fucking dork. That's not what he was saying. He's talking about dealing with the same shit that we're all dealing with in our petty little scenes. And I do think that discourse about it and understanding that you're a part of it is the best way. Not talking down to people, but trying to understand and maybe make some headway with them. But you're right. You're right, Adam.
I am
Yours
right.
was
And you
great.
will, I think.
Oh, yeah. I've seen you out there, Adam. I've seen you with your pitchforks. I've seen you in some fights. I've never seen that in my entire fucking life. Anyway, who's going next?
It'll be Adam because I have to go last.
You've seen me in fights with pitchforks?
I like it. Already off to a contentious start.
Okay, I'm not even.
All right, Adam.
I'm not even
All right, I got under
You really
Adam's
did. I have so
fingernails.
many
I like
hurtful
it.
things to say, and I'm going to just keep them to myself.
That's a healthy approach, and congrats on being not
Let's do that.
toxic.
Let's call this hurtful things.
No,
fight.
I'm going to help the listener, not you, because you're too far beyond help. Is my turn? Have I started?
On your marks, get set, advice.
If it's a toxic person in your life, give them a chance or two, and if they keep fucking up, get rid of them. Done. That's easy. If it's a toxic fucking group in comedy that you are hating, I understand that big time. And I will say I have had a lot of problems in my recent life with the Tony Hinchcliffes and the Joe Rogification of comedy. And now Ben is right that you're probably talking about a smaller scene-based toxicity. I find that in stand-up comedy right now, there's a massive toxicity in the form of fucking Tony Hinchcliffe and Joe Rogan and all the little sycophants who are copying them and are saying, oh, I'm just making jokes and you're a woke warrior policing me. And I find it to be so awful. And like, it's actually making people be dumber, less thoughtful. People are punching down against marginalized groups and thinking they're bad boys of comedy for doing it. And it makes me fucking sick. It makes me like hate stand-up comedy. And I would sit in my phone and be like, I fucking hate this. This is so gross, and get mad and mad and mad. And I had to sort of stop and unfollow anyone who was pissing me off in that way and focus on what I do like and comedians that I think are doing it the right way. And so if there's people in your local scene from that national level, there's people in your local scene that are pissing you off in that sort of way, I say just try not to give them oxygen. Try not to pay attention. And if you're a younger comic and that seems to be the prevalent force in your scene, I get it. I think you can find there are other niches to be carved. And there are other avenues, even if that seems like the cool kids are doing that, the popular kids are doing that, they're getting booked, they're getting all the fans. Okay, carve your own niche outside of that. Because if you hate that shit, go outside of it. And I like to think that's what the three of us have done our whole careers. And while Ben says I'm not out there with a pitchfork, I've always strived to book women, people of color, queer people on the Grolix, on the High Plains Comedy Festival, and be an inclusive, tolerant scene that punches up and not fucking down towards transgender people or whatever bullshit Rogan's spewing out that you're copying to be cool this week. I advise you to do what I've done, which is like try not to pay attention to that, which has been hard. Especially as you're a rookie climbing the ranks, you're always like, who got what? And a lot of people are getting a minute on Hinchcliffe and getting thousands of fans and booked in clubs. I hate the way that's going, but there are other avenues in comedy. So find the people that you admire, whose morals you admire, try to copy their careers and do it in your local scene. That's my advice.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
and I like Adam's advice. I think it's great. Since Adam attacked me in the episode earlier, I would also love to remind Adam that every single one of us on this podcast, wrote jokes, and I remember them very clearly, that were incredibly toxic when we started off. I had to edit my first albums when I re-put them out, delabeled it because of some of the stuff I said. But at the time, the stakes were different.
I agree with you on that, 100%.
So I think what you're saying is it's always punched up. No, you didn't, Adam. You punched down a lot. So did I. So did Andrew. But just understanding that now the world is different. And I think that that's what I was trying to say. Well, Adam's was an empty message of arrogance. Andrew, what do you got there?
No,
bud?
I'm not. It's not quite there yet. I agree with what Ben is saying. I think when you're a young comedian, you're trying to see what you can get away with. You like shock value. You go blue. You test the boundaries like a toddler figuring out what they can get away with. I did that. All of us did that. But all you can do as a person who's now 20 years into it is say, oh yeah, wouldn't do that again.
That's all I'm saying with mine is to explain to them, to say, I understand. I fucking love a good dark joke. You know what I mean? I love fucking dark shit. And you can, but also you can support human rights in this too.
For sure.
You know, and that's where I think not alienating, talking to, and not talking over when you have proof, when they can dig proof of what you did.
Yes, but none of that fell within your advice 3-minute window. This is new advice that you've added to the.
No. Yes, that was exactly what I was saying. Andrew, you're up.
All right. You're going to time me, Ben?
Yes.
Yeah, going last. It's tough.
Andrew, you have 3 minutes. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, advice.
Okay, I agree with to some degree with both of what y'all said. We do see this toxicity even still. I'm down at the Comedy Works. I'll see a group of young comics. They're talking about how they all want to drive down and do Kill Tony together. They want to do Tony Hinchcliffe's show. This is still, I think this is in any given scene. It's like whatever the quote unquote hot thing is. I think to combat toxic behavior in your group, someone has to call it out when they see it. And you, the writer of this letter, you are that person. If you are waiting for someone else to speak up, you'll be waiting forever, because that's what lets this stuff grow, is everyone stands around looking at it. Everyone in the back of their mind knows this is fucked up. We shouldn't be talking like this. We shouldn't be listening to this. We shouldn't be letting this person in the green room or in the office break room be holding court on this terrible fucking opinion. Someone should say something. Well, when you think that, you are that someone. You should say something, even if you're terrified, even if your voice squeaks out a little bit, even if you might be ostracized, or maybe you'll fall in popularity. Who gives a shit? It falls on you to say it, because this stuff grows back when no one will say anything. And the specific example that I can immediately call to mind is the use of the word, and I'll say it so we all know what we're talking about, is the use of the word retard. We all used it when we were growing up, and it was just part of like the lexicon of growing up. And then culturally, we came to a point where we realized that's not a good word to use. It is making fun of probably one of the most marginalized groups of people, and a group of people that is often pretty defenseless against being insulted.
Politicians?
And we saw that word kind of leave comedy, and for a while it just left comedy. You didn't need it in your jokes, and you didn't hear people say it. But then it grew back in. It grew back in because assholes couldn't think of a different creative word to tease someone. And now you hear it back on stage, and you hear it in the green room, and it just grows. It grows like a black mold in the walls of the house of your scene, and you have to get rid of it. You have to say something. When you hear somebody say it, you can say something. You could say something that is wrapped in a compliment. Like, dude, I think you're funnier than needing to use that word. I think you are better than that. I think you don't need to say that word to get your point across. You have to let them know, hey, I'm not okay with it. Even if everyone else in this room or in this scene seems okay with it, I'm not. And if you think less of me for it, well, I'll sleep that much more soundly at night. So I say, call it out when you see it, even if you're the only one, because that's what you have to do to start breaking. Those bonds are fragile with any kind of toxic group. You can weaken it just by being the one person to speak up. So that's my advice.
All right, you went 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and
you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me.
Listen, my job was not to come in here as official timekeeper. Okay, I was engrossed in what dog shit advice you gave, and that
doesn't make any sense.
I was trying to.
I was engrossed by how bored I was.
No, I was engrossed. I was like sitting there in my head, outraged by this again. By you saying again, I said all that shit. And now I'm better than you.
It's not, you're not saying I'm better than you. You're saying I don't want to hear it. You say, I don't say it around me.
Sounds like Ben's job this episode has been to police our open mic sets of 20 years ago and equate them with sitting on podcasts that have Alex Jones in the chair. And I appreciate that, Ben.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely done that. I've not stood on stage in front of a theater full of people.
The very last thing that I'm interested in doing is making these people feel better about the terrible shit they're doing. I'm never going to be like, you know what? I also did that, but you'll come around. No, you can come around right now while I'm in the room with you and not say that shit, or you can fucking leave the room. Those are your choices.
I understand fully. This is why it's advice fight. This is what it's supposed to be. So I understand fully what you're saying, but you are once again ignoring the fact that you said this for a long period of time and you did learn. And I think like that is the ultimate thing of like saying, I get it, man. Like we all fucking said it. It's just fucking.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, but so much of that learning was because someone told me, either another comedian or someone in my life was like, you shouldn't say that.
Right, but in his specific example of the R word, we all said it as kids, and I think a lot of the comedians...
I'm not going to try to pretend I said it into my 20s. I was saying it on set until my first album, which came out in 2012.
Okay, well, that's you, man. I remember having a joke about how every actor reaches a point in their career where they feel they want to play a mentally disabled person, and I used the word mentally disabled. That was one of the first jokes I ever wrote. And even that terminology, right, exactly.
But Andrew didn't stand in a green room and chide Ben Roy. He formed a comedy group with him.
Okay, I see what you're
saying.
So I'm
saying this new sensitivity to it, it is new for us to be sensitive to it. And I think we're understanding why we're having this conversation. And I think what you're seeing is much like clothing has come back from the 90s and 2000s, music, pop culture references from that time. We're also noticing a resurgence of roast comedy, which was huge back in that time. And I think what you're finding is people are going back. They were like, hey, they used to say this shit all the time. It's kind of funny to go back and do that. What I'm saying is now we know. And I think talking to younger people as if you're not talking down to them or younger comics, but you're saying, man, I fucking get it. But it's like wearing a mullet. You look like you have a mullet on stage. You know what I mean? It's like, it's trashy. And we know your words aren't being stolen from you. There's still 100 ways to express something and do it cleverly. I think there's a better way to connect with people to make them understand because, last point, I don't think everybody is going onto a podcast with RFK and Cheryl Hines or Alex Jones.
Sure.
We're
equating a lot of different levels of comedy. I understand.
Exactly. These are just scene kids who are repeating shit that they've heard and they want to be cool.
I think the top dogs that we all know in comedy are a lot of the ones who are trying to just casually use the R word again know exactly what they're doing. And I think they're toxic as fuck. And I think that they were policed into not saying it when they were in 12th grade. And now they have power again. And they're like, I don't want to learn from my mistakes. I fuck you. You don't tell me what to say. I'm saying it again. And they don't even think about the marginalized groups that are hurt by that. And that's why they are truly toxic.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've been pointed out and they know this hurts people and is kind of dangerous given the political landscape. And they're like, I don't care. I'm a straight white man. I want to say retard again like I'm in 8th grade because I think it's funny. And that is the definition of toxic, not being able to hear that this is awful.
But I think you're also discounting. There were some of those people in our scene that didn't let go of it, and they either wilted and fell out. And then there were some of us who heard the messaging from people who talked to us like human beings, and we're willing to listen and to be adaptable and malleable and sensitive to those things. And I think your job is to talk and find those. I
love that too, but there is also a little bit of self-accounting. I remember having a fucking word, a joke where I said F word about a gay person. And I used it as someone yelled it at me and wasn't that guy awful. And I can't believe that guy used that slur. But at the end of the day, I was just yelling that word on stage regardless. And I, with no one telling me, decided as I evolved, hey, Adam, at the end of the day, you're just putting that word into the zeitgeist again and again.
Your evolution just so happened to correspond with an awakening of culture.
So I looked around. I didn't, and
exactly. You culture taught you that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you get more out of trying to talk to people than to isolate people.
That's valid as fuck. I hear that.
So I think we've all got our advice.
We put it all out there.
Different stances. There wasn't that one where somebody throws out and tells you to move to a retirement community and become swingers, which I still stand by. And I think
that's evergreen advice. I mean, if you want to plug that into any episode we do, you can. We're gonna take another quick ad break again on the Patreon feed. No ads, just smooth sailing, except for us extolling the benefits of the Patreon every time there is an ad break, which in essence becomes its own ad.
It's worse than the ads,
but it really is. But we'll be back with our Act 3, so stick around.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy, champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
We are back. This has been a hot one. There's no denying it. We all
get a pot holder. I think it's contentious because we all have a direct experience
and very personal opinions about it. In the ring, there's been 3 of us. We've been sent to our corners, and then producer Ron is in his corner, sort of trying to squirt water into our mouths from the corner.
He's trying to shoot it across the ring.
And it's a tense standoff inside this ring.
We're fighting in the triangle. You've heard of the octagon. We fight in a triangle.
He just hit me in the chest.
The water's getting nowhere near my mouth.
Yeah, he just cut my eyebrow, but I wasn't even injured there.
He's got a super soaker. He needs a few more pumps on that thing. It's not getting across the ring.
All right, so
let's recap our advice real quick.
Exactly.
Ben, what was your advice? Just so quickly.
My advice was try to talk to these people, see if you can like a person. Reason with them and relate and get them to change.
And Adam?
My advice was essentially don't give it oxygen. If it bothers you, carve your own niche outside.
Make your own path. Mm-hmm. Okay, and mine was speak up, speak out.
That's what your t-shirt says.
Speak up, speak out. That'd be a cool shirt. I'd wear it. Okay. Ben, who would you like to vote for? And just a reminder, you can't vote for yourself.
Even though I went toe-to-toe with him the most in this episode, I think if you try and those people are not receptive to it or turn out to just be fucking grade A staunch peckerheads that are full of just fucking garbage ideas and want to remain in their willful ignorance, Adam's advice is the one that I think I recommend next, which is build the scene you want to see. And you should be doing that, to me, in tandem with my advice. You should just make the shows, build the scene you want to see. Hopefully you can change some hearts and some minds and bring them over to your side, but ultimately being the example and creating the atmosphere in the shows and the culture, I think that is the best revenge and the best way to fight that. So I am going to vote for Adam on this one because I think that was solid advice.
I didn't see that coming.
Wow, what a turn. What a turn. This is like a pro wrestling turn. All of a sudden you guys are like teammates. They were fighting in the ring and now they just teamed up.
We punched each other hard a lot, and I think you respect the competitor, I think.
It was a slap down. All right, Adam.
I do like and I will pay it forward to Ben. I do like what Ben said about trying to talk to these people, not just fucking like move, just say fuck you. That is, academically, that's the better advice. That's the way to approach people. I think we're so beyond the pale right now, and the world needs more of what you're saying, Ben. But I just don't know if it will work. And so my advice is kind of just like be the change you wish to see, I guess. So I feel like you're kind of wasting oxygen on those people trying to listen and hear them because they're not going to hear it. I like Andrew's advice and continuing to be the change. Voice exactly how you feel in the face of it and hope that it might change a mind or two versus like listening to them and saying, tell me about how you see. Just kind of be like, hey, what you just said was wrong and is fucking wrong. and boom, bounce out the green room. Like that might make somebody think twice. And so I think that's just more where I'm at right now. Not saying it's right, but it's more where I'm at right now. So I'm voting for Andrew. That's my
interesting.
All right, we got one vote for Adam, one vote for Andrew. Andrew, you gotta do this. What do you got?
Yeah, this was an interesting episode, and I think there was merit in everybody's advice to a degree, but I think it also depends on personally how you approach things, and maybe this was indicative of how each personally would prefer to approach things. I feel like my heart has become hardened, and that where I hear Ben's advice and I can hear,
and it's right.
Yeah, like try to approach people on a human level, person to person, but at the same time, I'm also like, my era of kindness and understanding has formally concluded. And Ben actually did a good job of upselling Adam's advice by talking about carving out your own scene and forming your own example. And it made me think of our recent Grolix. We just did a Grolix in February here. We had a great lineup. It was Hannah Popkin, BK Sherrod, and Ramon Rivas from Cleveland. And every comic did, for lack of a better word, political material. Every comic addressed some kind of issue, either politically or social.
Are you talking about where I talked about Elon Musk coming? Because I feel like that joke has legs.
Yes. In specifically coming centipedes. Yes. Any joke shitting on Elon Musk is a political joke. I hate when people conflate punk and comedy. I don't like that. And when I see people like, it's the punk of comedy, I don't like that. I like keeping those ideas separate. But I will say that show we put on, if there was some version of punk comedy, that is very much, I think, what that would feel like. Every comic spoke the way they wanted to. They talked about the things they wanted to talk about. They addressed things that were absolutely going on very much in the moment. And the crowd loved it. The crowd, start to finish, fucking loved it. There were no boos. There were no like, fuck you kind of thing. And it was like, we've grown this garden over the years to be this place where we can say the things we want to say. And I very much kind of perform by example and say, we're talking about the things we want to talk about in the way that we're talking about. And no one is resorting to toxic stereotypes. No one is doing regressive hack shit, and it's now it pays off in this way very much. So with that said, with my hard heart, I will vote for Adam, even though it puts him ahead.
And I'm okay with that. I want you to know this one, I'm okay with that, because a good neutral ground out of between myself and Andrew's standpoint is to make the scene you want.
I think that's it for sure. And it makes me upset because I really know that Roy's advice in my heart of hearts, listen to people and talk to them. That's a way more effective way to change minds. That is unfucking deniable. But like I said, it's just, I'm so hardened that all I am is like, I'm going to be the change. I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm going to just go create my own shit and be the change while editing myself and learning and being better and acknowledging any mistakes that I've made along the way.
I think like lately, I don't engage with things on social media anymore. I find it to be a cesspool. There's no discourse happening. It's just garbage. So if I do, I'll post about something I want, but I say what I want on stage and through music. And I try to treat people the way I believe that they should be treated. And I love what we've curated with the Grolix and what we believe shines through.
And I want to say, I like working with you guys and continuing to work with you guys because you acknowledge things you may have done in the past that were not the best. You continue to evolve, and we all listen. And that is all you can try to do.
I think that's my thing with mine, is that when I see comics in their youth and early 20s doing the same thing, I just want to be like, it's so counter to your character because I've talked to you and you are a good person. Right. And you're just saying shit because you want to be popular. And I get that. We all fucking did it.
Young comedian sets are not who they are.
Exactly.
As you get older as a comic, your set becomes more and more who you are. That's the goal of the journey.
That's why I want to put the caveat on mine that I don't do that when I see a comic in their 50s and 60s doing that.
Look at this new guy.
I mean, I'm like, you should know know better by now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, big thanks to our listener for this letter. If you're listening and you need advice on anything, please send us a letter. Anything. We'll have that contact in the show notes, or you can just DM us on social media, whatever is easy for you. But that was a great episode. And again, it's nice when it is truly in our wheelhouse for reals.
Fuck yeah. I'm exhausted. All right, so there you have it. We have determined our winner. It is time for you to determine yours. Go over to our Patreon. You can vote on who you think won the episode. Even if you're not a Patreon member, it's public. It's free.
It's free. Voting is free.
You do have to be a member to vote, but you can join for free.
There you go. Andrew said it perfectly. And while you're there joining for free, fucking level up and pay us a little bit of money. There's a brand new level. It's $2, and you get jack shit for it. It's the Producer Ron level.
That's the price of one egg. That's the price of one egg.
It's a tip on a job well done. It's a pat on the back for Producer Ron.
I'm sick and I don't want to chime in for this episode, but I find this insulting, but I'll take the $2.
Ron, we're trying to help you get medicine.
That's why it's only $2.
We're trying to get help.
You know what? I am going to rename that to your Toilet Ron. I thought I was being nice by calling it the Producer Ron tier. Now it can be Toilet Ron.
So there's a new Toilet Ron tier. If you just want to give us $2 to say, hey, great job, go ahead and do that. Every little bit counts, and it helps us with the pod. And if you want to level up to an even higher amount, we're going to put out a kind of crib notes to Denver. We had a letter from a listener saying, hey, I'm coming to Denver. What should I do? We're going to record an Act 4 telling you exactly what to do. This is 3 Denver insiders giving you the hot, straight tips on our city. So that'll be worth a listen on Patreon right now if you want.
Hot goss.
Yeah, the hot goss, the scene drama, all of it.
Yeah.
We'll
spill the tea. We're going to spill so much tea.
Forget about
Bring
it.
a bib.
So we're going to record that right now in Act 4, and that's a reason enough to go join to hear our guide to Denver. Plugs, what do you guys got?
I got a plug. If you're listening to this the day it comes out on Tuesday, guess what? Tomorrow night, Wednesday, it's the Narrators here in Denver, the true storytelling show I run with producer Ron and our friend Aaron. I'll be hosting. Let's not start. We can't start it. Again, it's like magic. You say it too many times out loud and it becomes
right.
real.
Fair enough.
I'll be hosting the Narrators tomorrow night. It's an amazing lineup. Come on down. It's at the Buntport Theater. It's pay what you want to get a guaranteed seat. Go visit the Buntport Theater's website and come out and see the show.
Adam, what you got?
If you're listening to this the day it comes out tomorrow, March 19th, I'm in New York City, guys, specifically Brooklyn at Union Hall, doing an amazing show. I've got Salma Zaki, Katrina Davis, Josh Gondelman, all on the show, and then I will be doing a new hour.
Whoa.
Guys, in case you couldn't tell from my social media, I am desperate to move tickets. So if you are listening to this and you are a fan of us and you're in the area, come on out to the show. I would love to see you at Union Hall.
And if you know that lineup is a murderer's row. That show is going to smoke.
It's going to be great. I'd love to see you in New York. Come on out to Union Hall. March 19th, 7:30.
Ben, what do you got?
Well, I will be headlining Comedy Works downtown. That's right, the big club downtown, the classic one.
The good one.
Yeah, the big one. That's the one that started it all. All right. So that one, I will be headlining Wednesday, April 9th. It's going to be a fun night. Get your tickets now. And as always, I'm going to hype it. The Grolics, our live show, last Saturday of every month. World famous Pug Theater.
Oh, it's good this month. It's good.
And this month is ridiculous. It is a great lineup. So you're going to want to get your tickets for that as well.
Get those tickets and go over to Patreon and listen to our guide to Denver. We will give you the perfect weekend. It's a Grolics and all the things you need to do in Denver to complement it.
As always, big thanks to Mike Henderson for your recording the live show. And of course, producer Ron. We can't do this podcast without
Ron.
You. Toilet Ron.
Shout out Toilet Ron.
As always, the theme music brought to you by the lugubrious Charlie Continental. Also, feel free to check out our Patreon. You can do it for free. You can sign up for free. And then you can get Toilet Ron level, which is basically free.
$2.
If you, like Dave Hill says, if you want to take him out back, punch him by the dumpsters too, we'll let you for a little while. And follow us wherever at Grolics Comedy. But the big thing, if you have questions, you need advice, you need anything from your 3 PhD, that's player hating dickheads.
Sure.
We go by the 90s rap terminology. You can send your questions at advicefight.com. Send us your questions. You need advice. We have it. This is a simpatico relationship.
Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. We appreciate it.
Otherwise, we'll be back next week with what is considered an actual podcast episode.
Yes.
A full episode. We promise.
100%.
It will be in the format. But in the meantime, as always, as has always been, play us out, Charlie.
So it has been, so it will always be.
So saith.
So saith.
The Grolix.
The Grolix.